What's happening, everyone? Welcome back. And if it's your first time here, just plain welcome. So, the ATF has decided in their infinite wisdom to repeal the zero tolerance policy that it enacted under the Biden administration. This basically means they would crack down on any and all paperwork discrepancies and, strip people of their federal firearms licenses. Now, this has created some back and forth between pro and anti-gun sides. On one side, you have reasoned understanding and debate, people who are familiar with the impact of this regulation. And on the other hand, you have lying shitweasel anti-gun bastards. Now, I know what I just said sounds kind of harsh, but let's understand what's going on here. The zero tolerance policy implemented by the Biden administration treated all paperwork errors the same as someone willfully breaking the law to sell guns to somebody who may not be eligible to own a firearm, say a convicted felon or someone with a domestic violence conviction. But the thing is, not all of those cases are the same. All right, there was one example of somebody who faced losing their firearms license because they miscalculated the 3-day waiting period for a gun sale that never returned a background check. They thought they could release it on the third day and not a full 72 hours. This created some problems, especially when it was filed for right at the end of the day and it was the beginning of the third day. It was a misunderstanding. Is that the same as the dude who sold guns to people without background checks and then threw those serial numbers on other people's paperwork? Of course not. One is a good faith mistake. This is someone trying to comply with the law who didn't quite meet the letter. They misunderstood what the requirement was. The other is somebody who really wanted to sell guns to criminals and didn't give a shit about the law. Now, regardless how you feel about various gun laws, there's still a difference between these two, and the zero tolerance policy under Biden didn't recognize that. Just the same, anti-gunners are going around telling people that this new change, this return to the old status quo, will allow criminal gun dealers back in business. This will allow illegal gun sales with the ATF having no ability to respond. And that is absolute freaking horseshit. Right? People were prosecuted before zero tolerance. Right? People who sold guns illegally were charged by the ATF many times. It was not an uncommon occurrence. And groups like Giffords in Everytown know it. Right? They know this happened. I know for a fact they know it happened because I watched them respond to it. They want you to think that it never happened and that this policy was really the only bulwark we had between lawlessness and the illegal arming of criminals and peace and prosperity. First of all, most criminals aren't going to gun stores. We know this. Department of Justice has looked into this, and most firearm sales are not coming from otherwise lawful gun sales. Right? There's not even that many. They're coming from straw buys. Where they're coming from is illegal black market sales most of the time. Another large percentage are actually stealing the guns directly. And the thing is, anti-gunners have to know this too. They should understand this because these are the people the media reaches out to as experts. And if they can't look up that basic statistic, then the term expert just means frickin' moron with a paycheck. And interestingly, this also comes about the same time that the anti-gun groups are talking about how they're totally fine with people who have reformed, people who are like convicted of domestic violence, like say Mel Gibson, getting their gun rights back at some point once they've shown that they've reformed. That they should go through the process that's available to get their gun rights restored, and that's how it should be. They, of course, leave out the fact that they are responsible for the fact that the process has been completely defunded for freaking decades, and nobody can get their gun rights back ever. So they're supportive of people who've reformed getting their gun rights back, just so long as they can never get their gun rights back. Yeah, these are the same people who are like, they support the Second Amendment, but they just want some common sense regulation. You can believe that shit too, can't you? At the end of the day, what matters is actions, not words. Anyone can say they're pro-gun. Anyone can say they're anti-gun. What really matters is, what do you actually follow through on? And the gun control advocates have been losing their minds over the Department of Justice taking these steps, restoring people's gun rights, ending zero tolerance, revisiting the pistol brace rule, among other things. And they see this and they oppose all of it. Absolutely all of it. And try to make it out that this is some great, terrible tragedy, while saying they support the Second Amendment, but while saying they want people to be able to get their gun rights restored once they've shown they've reformed, while not actually wanting to do anything that would allow them to get their gun rights restored. See, the whole "I support the Second Amendment, but" means that everything that comes before the "but" is an absolute lie. They don't support the Second Amendment. And if you ask them, where's the line? What bit of legislation is too far for you? Most will say, well, they don't support a total gun ban. Well, there's a lot of area that's not a total gun ban, but might as well be. Look at laws in places like, Europe, and, where it's, you can theoretically have a gun. It's just virtually impossible for most people to actually manage it. That's what they want here. They don't care about the Second Amendment. They don't care about your rights. The Department of Justice is making amends. They're taking steps to do some things that needed to be done. Now, if you're like me, this is not as much as we hoped to get. This is something I wanted in January. All right, this should have happened way back then. It didn't. We finally got it here in April. It's better late than never. It's still in the first year. That's great. It's still in the first 100 days. It should not have come to this. It should have happened a long time ago. We should have already had this. And the anti-gunners losing their minds, spreading lies, spreading fear throughout the entire country, and the media enabling them by talking to them as if they are actually experts instead of the well-paid idiots that they truly are. This is just where we're at, right? I hate it, and I hate it because this shouldn't have been controversial. You should never punish people for mild errors, right? When you're having to document all of these things and you're doing a lot of them a day, you're going to make mistakes. No one should lose their livelihood over simple mistakes. You want to go after people who are actually trying to arm criminals? By all means. But you're not doing that. That's not what the ATF was doing. And the fact is, the ATF always looks for low-hanging fruit where they can make arrests, they can make press releases without actually having to do any real work. Now they have to actually look for dealers that are doing things that are illegal instead of going after people who maybe got dyslexic for a moment or two. That's it. That's where we're at. And your typical anti-gun jihadist is going to spin it any way they can. But the truth is, this was good news. It was fantastic news. It's good for everybody, especially gun buyers, because it means there will be gun stores available when we want to purchase a particular. That's what I think. I want to know what you think. Go down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Are you with me that the DOJ rule is the right way to go and gun control groups are out of their mind? Or do you feel something completely different? Let me know. I want to hear about it. While you're down there, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. It's a great way to support the channel. If you want to support it a little more, there's a coffee link down below. Hit that. You can give me a couple bucks to help put coffee in my mug. But on that note, I'm going to wrap it up, and I will catch you all in the next video.